Caleb Miller. I'm from Middletown, Ohio. I got a 1987 third gen Camaro. I call it the Black Dog. It's a stock bore 5.3. It's got a stock crank. It's got aftermarket rods and pistons. We just changed from a single turbo to the twin Gen 3 7875s from VS Racing. Air to water intercooler. It is big tire. It's got 430 rear gear, power glide transmission. And it's pretty light. It's not real heavy. There's a lot of fiberglass parts. There's still stock glass window. All the metal of the regular car is still there. Stock floor. Just a back half car. What originally got me into racing, nobody really in my family or close family really raced much. So I guess I had a love for V8 S10s back when I was younger. So my first car was an S10, and I ended up doing like air ride and stuff on it, and doing it, laying the frame on the ground. Then I body dropped it, and then I put a 305 in it, I think. And I started really liking the racing stuff. I had plenty of friends that raced, but none of my real close family did. So started going to a little track called Tri-State Dragway. I think just about everybody in Ohio has heard of that little place. It's shut down now. Now it's a gravel pit. But started going there, and then from there the Camaro kind of came about. And the only reason I even bought the Camaro was so I could do the tubular front suspension on it, the K-member, the control arm, stuff like that. So that's kind of where it started, was for the black car was something like that. So there's been a few versions of the black car. When I first got it, was rock stock. It was a blowed up 2.8 liter. I think it might have even been a 5-speed. It rolled in as stock as can be. It was actually silver at the time, not like an old worn out silver. But so like I said, I brought it in and ripped the whole rear end out of it, because at the time I was a pretty low budget guy. So I actually used the rear end that I had built, the 9-inch that I built for the S10, and I used that and put in the Camaro. And right about the time that I tubbed it is when all the real big small tire stuff started happening around here, like the 8.5 stuff back 10 years ago, whenever it was, started getting real popular. So I ended up leaving it big tire, and I really like the big tire stuff. So when we first built it, did the whole back half myself, put the first cage in it myself. Pretty much I've always done all this stuff to it myself. I took the motor that was out of the S10, which was a 383 with some aluminum heads on it, and stuck that in there. It ran like 11 O's on the motor. And it was actually built for boost. It was only just a little 8.5 to 1 motor. It didn't make a whole bunch of power, but somehow it managed to go 11 O's. And then after that, I bought a single turbo kit off of a friend of mine, Mike Witt, that's recently passed away. And we put that on there, and the transmission wasn't really right. It was just a turbo 350 with no trans brake. It had the wrong everything for a turbo. So ended up trading the turbo kit off for some nitrous stuff, put a little nitrous on it for a minute, and then I got a friend of mine that races a lot of NHRA stuff, super stock and comp eliminator. Well, he had a old super stock motor. It was a 468. I ended up buying that off of him, and it went like a 16 in the 8th, and went like a 998 or something like that, all in a real big camshaft. The headers came out right behind the tire, and I really couldn't do anything with it, because I've always been somebody that likes to drive my stuff on the street. So ended up selling that to another friend of mine. He's put it in his Camaro now, and then I decided to do the Turbo LS deal. So it started out with just a stock bottom end 5.3 like everybody does generally their first time. Nothing special about it. Stock heads, stock everything besides camshaft. That's when we switched to the power glide. Did a rear gear change. Did a single to S480. And we got that combination, a little Cass S480 to go 530s. That was 5 years ago. And it ran real good. Drove it all over the place. I mean, hell, I still drive it all over the place, even with the twins and everything else on it. I drive it to work all the time. So we did that for a while, and then we changed to the rods and pistons motor, and we put the forced inductions 91 100 on it, and fought with it for a whole year. Ended up not even going faster than I went the year prior. And then we changed to a different turbo. We put a GT 5594 on it, and then we started getting angry with it and being mean to it, and then it started going a little faster. So we got down in the 5.0 range and stuff like that on some real good surfaces. And then I bought a tubing bender and bought a TIG welder and put my own 25.5 cage in it, which turned out pretty decent. And then all of a sudden I decided I wanted to go twin turbo. So I actually wanted to go twin turbo when I first built it, but that the S4A was priced right and stuff, so I ended up doing that. But so we got the Gen 3s, put them on there, had a custom ground camshaft from John Bewley, stuck that in there. And it's still a hydraulic roller, it's not a solid roller, nothing crazy like that. So those, you don't need a solid roller. And we've only had that done about a month now, and we're getting some bugs out of it. It's taking a long time to get it figured out, but that's kind of the progression. So somewhere in there I painted it black, and then the same time I did the 25.5, I also hung fiberglass doors and fiberglass front end on it, just to make it look nicer, really, because the factory front end was beat to death. It was wore out. So, and that's where we're at now. Memorable moments street racing. Probably when we raced Sherm up in Mexico, up here somewhere. There's a little, I think it was might have even been there was two classes on the street. We had a small tire and a big tire that class that night. And we raced against Sherm, and something went on with the light. We had to do a rerun, and Sherm ended up inching me out. I was spinning all over the place. There's some memorable moments from way back in the day before the Camaro was even around. With when I had the S10, there were some guys from Middletown that had some pretty decently fast stuff. Until they got next to the S10, which they always said there was issues wrong with it, or oh, something happened, that's why you beat me. But no, we had a little incident where we got hemmed up one night. A guy where we hang out at, we call it Uptown, just like Columbus calls theirs Uptown, or they're the spot or whatever. So we were hanging out up there, and it was real hot. I didn't bring the S10 out because it was it would run real hot. So long story short, I get up there, they talked me into getting the truck out. Well, the whole parking lot emptied, and with the whole parking lot came a police officer. So we went down there, nobody saw the guy. Anyway, I ended up in a parking lot by myself. I won't say what happened prior to that, but I ended up in a parking lot by myself, not around the truck anymore. And it could have been a real bad deal, but it wasn't a bad deal because I had a clean record at the time. So I ended up getting an unsafe vehicle ticket out of the whole deal. And the truck actually had gotten impounded in the worst possible impound lot in all of Middletown. I was scared to death it was going to get tore up. But no, that was great. So that's probably one of my most memorable ones. And then a guy by the name Daryl Jones, which is another close friend of mine that's passed away a few years ago. He had a I think like an 03 Cobra style Mustang with like a Pro Charger or something on it. Me and him raced back and forth a lot. That's when I had nitrous on the S10, and we raced quite a few times. I mean, it was so close, so even. It was a good time. He was a real good dude. I don't know. I guess with the Camaro, there hasn't been too much. There's not been a whole bunch of street racing with it. I know we did a little race up there in Columbus a couple of years ago. And the car started acting goofy after the first pass. Ended up being one of the little China Bay pressure switches that shorted out and caused the whole 5-volt system to go haywire. But that was going to be a good night. So pretty much all my moments street racing with has been a good time. So there's not one that's I really pick over the other. It's always just great to hang out with everybody and do a little street racing and shoot the bull. So well, we'll just kind of go in order here. So when I first went Turbo LS, Rob Sparks out of Middletown was putting on the Thornhill Throwdown races down at Thornhill, and I won 2 or 3 of those, but you had to go on the cruise and stuff, and it was, man, those were a good time. So won a couple of those. And Thornhill's great. I mean, I really wish Thornhill could put on more races than what they do, but with their limited time and stuff, it sucks they can't do more. And then probably when we started going decently fast at pacemakers. So the first day we went from like a 570 to a 530 to like 135 in the same day. So just turn it up. So that was a pretty good, memorable moment. And I've always been to races in Columbus. What's that track called now? I don't know. But and then we went up there for the streetcar takeover, so that was really neat to actually go down that racetrack. So I've been there a few times with pro races and stuff like that. But that was real cool to go on that racetrack. And then beyond that has been a lot recently here. So the last couple of years have been some big steps for me and the team. Just going faster and faster and faster. When we finally dipped into the fours last year at I-64, that was pretty cool. So we had a smaller intercooler on it, and believe it or not, the intercooler was holding back the car. It wouldn't flow enough air to actually make the power to go anywhere. So we changed the intercooler, and the first pass off the trailer with the new intercooler went like a 508 or something like that. And the very next pass actually turned it down because it spun a little bit, and we went into the fours for the first time. So ended up winning the championship at I-64. That was great. That was a good time. And probably all the Magnolia races are always a good time. Those are some big moments for us. We went to the finals last year against a big hammer. I don't remember that guy's name, but he's been on the Fastest in America and everything else. So that was really, really cool to be in the finals there. Man, again, just about every time at the track's a good, memorable moment. Just like today, hanging out with everybody. Love this stuff. There's not one time I've been to the racetrack where I'm like, man, that wasn't a very good time. So unless like last week at Edgewater when it wouldn't go down the racetrack. But no, that was still a good time. Talked to B-Rad for a long time. That was really neat talking to him just the whole day and just seeing everybody. It was kind of nice to walk around and talk to everybody instead of having to worry about racing so much. I guess way back when the Camaro first got put together, someone that kind of helped me because I was helping them was a guy by the name of Rick Brown. He's the guy that does the NHR race and stuff. So he actually runs with the older Pro Stock truck chassis. So that's back when I was still in high school. I helped him during the summer, and even after high school I went racing with him about every weekend, Indy and Columbus and a couple tracks around. So he showed me some things and taught me some things about chassis and pinion angles and drive line and stuff like that. So that's where it kind of began with me being able to put the Camaro together, and surprisingly it worked as well as it does for a ladder bar car. So because if I hadn't known those things, I don't know what it looked like back there. But so that's helped quite a bit. And then I've had a couple buddies that pushed me towards the Turbo LS thing. So just a couple friends that have really helped a lot putting the idea in my head and then allowing me to run with it. No, I don't have any sponsors. Nobody's. I guess if I race more and stuff, people might want to sponsor stuff like that. So no real handouts or nothing like that. It's always just been me funding it all myself. And I mean, it ain't it's been some crazy car anyway, but there's always Low Dollar Motorsports has always helped me out with sensors and stuff like that. And fuel injector development, Tom Sewell, he's a great guy. I mean, if you do what Tom says, the injectors will last forever. So he saw me last year at Magnolia and said, "Man, I haven't seen your injectors come in a couple of years." I said, "Yeah, Tom, that's because I do what you want me to do and run pump gas through them every year." So he gave me a fist bump for that. And no, I mean, there's just everybody that has something to do with it, just like the stripper glitter guys. You know, they're always fun to hang out with. So even though I don't get sponsored by these guys, they're still a tremendous help. Even not even sponsoring, just talking to them about the racetrack surface or just technical stuff. So even though I'm not physically getting something from them, I guess they're still like a moral sponsor to me, I guess. So the goals for 2021, obviously I'd like to win here today, but there's a couple of hammers and we're having a little bit of trouble getting the car to go down the surfaces for some reason. So, but some of the goals, any of the races at Magnolia, so I know there's a Ohio Valley Street Outlaws race versus Mid-Atlantic Street Outlaws, I think's their name. So all the OSVO guys are gonna go try to beat up on them guys. And then there's the actual No Prep Manias at Magnolia. I love Magnolia. I got a couple other races on the schedule. I don't remember what half of them are, but I don't know. I'd like to win them all, obviously, but I don't really have a specific ET that I'm going to try to run or anything like that. I like the no prep stuff, so pretty much any no prep I show up to, I'd like to at least go some rounds in. Like I said, the race at Magnolia, the first no prep mania, there's some bad hammers coming to that, so we'll just do the best we can. I mean, I don't have that much horsepower, so you almost need 2,000 horsepower to run with some of them guys, but the little motor just won't do it. So for the goals, that's it. Just go to these races and have a good time. I don't care if I win or lose, it don't matter. As long as the car goes in the trailer the same way it came out and I go home the same way that I got here, I don't care what happens in between. So I got my best friends out here with me, Alex and Scott. You know, we're all like a tight little crew now, so as long as I have them guys with me and I see everybody, you know, as long as we get to go racing and the weather stays nice, I'm happy.
Yeah, remember how long? Guess I always been this way, running 90 miles a minute all night and day, doing things that'd kill a lesser man or get him locked up tight. Never meant to hurt nobody, no I ain't like that, just trying to make my way any way I can. There's a lot of folks out there wanna slow me down, make me act right.